Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, coming to you live from beautiful Cape May, New Jersey. And it is actually beautiful. I can legitimately say it is beautiful. I'm coming to you via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, and also streaming live on Facebook for all of you out there in SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio land. And I want to welcome the peeps who are coming into the Facebook chat. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Why don't I see, for some reason, I am not seeing names. Like I'm seeing numbers, but no names. Facebook's messing with me again. But I'm sure I will see you soon. Hey, Kim, how are you in the Facebook chat? It's gorgeous in Oregon, too. Yeah, it's gorgeous here in New Jersey, near the shore. Beautiful here. Gorgeous day, nice and warm. I'm sure it'll be 30 degrees tomorrow. But what are you going to do? Let's get to a little bit of housekeeping. My guest today, actually, before we get to that, is best-selling author and founder and CEO of Echo Group Consulting. His name is Scott Huesing, and the name of his book is Echo and Ramadi. I'm so privileged to have him on the show today. I'm very excited, and I think you guys will be too when we hear what he has to say. Hello, Marcy Lawrence. Do you know I can't see you guys in the actual chat? I'm like on another page looking at you. That is the weirdest thing. Tim Pino, welcome to the Facey chat. How are you? Let's see, what else do we have going on? The guests the rest of the week are scheduled. Tomorrow we have Corey Banks Eastman, who is going to talk to us lady folk about the importance of wellness and business. And you know, taking care of ourselves while we're doing the business thing. And that will definitely be perfect timing. That'll definitely be perfect timing because this is kind of a heavy subject. Tomorrow I'll be a little lighter. Mike Fitzpatrick, welcome. Mike Fitzpatrick is going to be back, our resident cybersecurity expert. We have not decided what we're going to talk about, I don't think, yet. Maybe EMPs. He will be back on May 2nd, I believe, is when he will be back on the show. And he says, I just watched your rant on microaggressions. Another teacher came up to me today and thanked me for being honest and telling the truth. And I'm like, somebody has to start telling the truth around here. I'm not going to be told that my melanin is a handicap one more time before I lose it. Sorry. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, check out the video. There's a video on microaggressions on my Facebook page. On Wednesday, I am in DC attending an event for congressional candidate John James, and I believe Marco Rubio is going to be there. So I'm there on Wednesday. Thursday, credit guru Darius Norman will be back on the show. And then on Friday, I have Bill Murray, CEO of Christian Investors, going to be on the show. So a nice, full, and exciting week here on Money Talk with Melanie. I'm super excited. Hey, author. Welcome to the Facey chat. So I'm super excited about that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's actually before I do that. If you're not following me on Twitter, I think I just broke 1,000. I think I have like 1,075 Twitter followers or something. I have way more people on Facey than I do on Twitter. If you want to follow me there, at Money Talk Mel. If you're feeling really adventurous and you want to follow my political musings, you can do so at NJGOP Diva on Twitter, and of course, like my Facebook page, Money Talk with Melanie, and anywhere else in the social media universe, I am there. Okay. Today's Money Talk news report. Well, it wouldn't be a Money Talk news report if I didn't talk about Amazon, right? So according to Jeff Bezos, in the annual shareholder letter, Amazon says that it has 100 million Prime members, which I'm not surprised. I happen to be one of them. And it's a nominal fee for what you get. I mean, I'm not going to advertise for Amazon, but I'm not surprised that that they have 100 million subscribers. You get free, just the free shipping alone is worth the fee. It's like $100 a year. And you get free Prime shipping, free 2-day shipping for like everything you order. I mean, can't really beat that. But you know, there's a bunch of haters. There's a bunch of Amazon haters not feeling that. And by the way, the article that I was looking at, this is according to Market Watch. It says, for context, the U.S. has 122 million households. So wow. So all but 22 million households use Amazon Prime. That is amazing when you think about it. That's just crazy. Wow. Go ahead. Go. Well, and I guess that's why President Trump is like, hey, you're going to need to start paying more for your postage, buddy. So I guess that's part of what the beef is about. But there's people on both sides of the aisle who are saying that that's not necessarily the case, et cetera, et cetera. I suspect that Amazon probably has its own lobby, and who knows what the truth is, unfortunately, where that's concerned. The FAA has ordered an inspection of 220 jet engines that are similar to the one that blew up last week and left one of those passengers dead. Apparently, they had already been looking at this particular type of jet engine, and I guess, I don't know, they didn't get to it yet. It amazes me. You would think that there'd be some kind of regulation that makes sure that they don't have those planes in the air. Yes, welcome to the Facey Tech chat, Doug. Hey, welcome Katina Pearson, fresh out of Facebook prison. welcome back to the Facey chat, Katina. And it is worth it. It is totally worth it. But yeah, they're inspecting those. What else do we have? Now this is interesting. Procter & Gamble is buying Merck's consumer health business for $4.2 billion. Interesting. Very interesting. Whenever you see those moves like that, now this particular unit sells over-the-counter products like vitamins and food supplements and non-U.S. markets. It's about $1 billion in sales. But it's one of the largest purchases that Procter & Gamble has made in a lot of years. So interesting. They say that the consumer health industry is highly fragmented and the industry's been consolidating. I believe that, particularly since I think there's a whole big holistic movement afoot, and people are Katina, I'm laughing at Katina person in the chat who says she's free now because she was in Facey jail for no doubt having the audacity to speak her mind. But yeah, I think there's a big health, a big holistic healthcare movement. I don't think as many people are doing the over-the-counter stuff as they are doing more natural things, and just not really trusting the drug companies, particularly since we have the opioid crisis being what it is. Bonton is selling more than 200 stores and malls. And remember what we talked about last week about the malls really going out of business? I didn't even know Bonton, I'm going to be honest with you, was still in business. Didn't even know they were still doing it. But apparently they are filing for bankruptcy, and part of that bankruptcy is they are selling more than 200 stores. To whom, I would like to know, are they selling the stores? Finally, Qualcomm is laying off staff in an effort to save costs by $1 billion. This is according to Bloomberg. 1,000 jobs could be cut. Yikes. And Qualcomm is a chip maker. Wow. And apparently they're in some kind of legal struggle with Apple between United States and China. Wonderful. They can't export their semiconductors to one of their biggest customers in China, after the White House sanctioned them for the telecom firm. Oh, interesting. Yikes. Well, that's a problem. That's gonna hopefully that will go away soon. That is a little bit of an issue. Anywho, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is Scott A. Huesing. He is the author of Echo and Ramadi. He's also the CEO of Echo Group Consulting. And we will be back in a couple of moments.
accomplished than anyone ever imagined. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. Today's page from the Edwards Notebook. You can call former President Barack Hussein Obama many things, but a simple puppet being controlled by others, he's not one of them. Elected, with a little help from his Democrat cheaters are us friends, he meticulously studied ways to undermine our beloved republic. When he became president, one key avenue to that end was the hiring of 7,000 to 8,000 senior services executive members who were employed to destroy any efforts to strengthen, prosper, enable America to reach her potential as a shining city on a hill nation that is the premier example of liberty, freedom, domestic tranquility, equal opportunity, and true justice for all. Before Obama's presidency, there were only 1,000 senior executive services members, and that evil cartel probably started under Jimmy Carter. They answer to no one and are set to render the Trump administration null and void if they can. Their names are secret, as are their salaries, and they are running all government agencies in secret. That is supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people. With God's help and grace, it shall be again. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America. Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Welcome back. This is Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is Scott A. Huesing. He is a best-selling author, and he's also the CEO of Echo Group Consulting, and actually so much more, which he's going to tell you about. Let me give you a little brief of his bio. He's a retired U.S. Marine Corps infantry major with 24 years of honorable service, and thank you, sir, again for your service. Just amazing. He was both enlisted as a commissioned officer in the Marines. During his career, spanning 10 deployments, he operated in over 60 countries worldwide. Throughout his numerous deployments to Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Horn of Africa, he planned, led, and conducted hundreds of combat missions under some of the most austere and challenging conditions. Scott is a published author since 2005. His best-selling book, Echo in Ramadi, which is available at Amazon, in all kinds of formats, by the way. It's a snapshot in time that changed the face of operations in the battlefield. A captivating story of Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines during the Second Battle of Ramadi in support of multinational forces surge strategy in 2006. It's a true life account that provides keen insight into what may be an unfamiliar world to its readers, which is for sure. And without further ado, Scott A. Huesing, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on the program. It's great to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here. Is there anything that I left out of your really extensive bio that you'd like to tell the audience?
No, you totally nailed it. And I am a Twitter follower of Money Talk with Melanie.
Oh!
So
just for the record. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. We met at CPAC.
We did. Yeah, and I will be in D.C. Next week as well. So it's very fortuitous. Maybe we can link up. You doing out there?
I'm there.
Maybe you can maybe you can hit John James up for some his followers too. He's got a pretty big following.
I don't even think I'm following him on Twitter. That's a good point. I should probably be following him. But I know a couple of people who run his campaign, so bad job on them for not making me follow him. But no, that's actually a good idea because I'm definitely in and out of DC all the time. I'd love that. Okay, so where should I even begin? Oh my God, I love this that my Facebook my Facey chat is lighting up. They're very funny. If you go into Facey chat, you will see that my audience is hilarious. Let's just put it that way. Where should we begin? I honestly don't know where to start. Now, when we talked about what we were going to discuss, I said, well, it's a money show. We should talk about the money being spent. And Scott actually wrote a fantastic article. I'm going to put it in the Facey chat just about one aspect of what's being spent. But what I'd love to do is for you to first tell the audience specifically about your service.
Well, I think you covered it pretty much. My career started just out of high school. I didn't have a very stellar high school career, to say the least. I'm not even sure I graduated. They just asked me, like, hey, this guy's going to move on.
just leave.
I enlisted in at a very early age. And through the advice of a high school friend, and got sucked into it by the glitz and glamour of the recruiters, which, you know, they seem larger than life. And I led a pretty high-risk lifestyle growing up. I, you know, didn't have a lot of supervision. I kind of ran from the cops. I fought, drank underage. And so when I met the Marines, it seemed like a natural fit. They were the biggest group of risk takers I ever met. And I enlisted, served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and then soon found the value of a education and went to college, graduated in 3 years with a much more respectable GPA. And I say that because it's a testament to the discipline that you learn as a young Marine and the leadership that you have about what's important. And so after I graduated, I received my commission as a second lieutenant, held all the right billets and positions of responsibility. And then some 12 years later, I was thrust into the city of Ramadi, which is the story I tell is what I probably defined as the pinnacle of my career, having fought in the deadliest city of Iraq in 2006 and 2007, leading our nation's finest young men and women in some of the toughest fighting we've seen in modern urban warfare.
Whenever you hear about the fighting on the news, right? Like you hear about they're fighting here, they're fighting there, and often I try to put myself. I can't put myself in that situation or even imagine what that must be like.
I don't think many Americans can, and thankfully they don't have to, because what we experience and what so many young service members experience, and especially my Marines and Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, at such a very young age. Thankfully, most Americans won't ever have to deal with that. And, you know, I don't think you could ever imagine the chaos and the fighting and the friction and the destruction that was seen and witnessed by these young men and women day in and day out as we fought 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day under some of the bloodiest fighting we've known in modern history. And they did it all with absolute courage and bravery. And throughout this fighting, they took care of each other and me better than anything I'd ever known. And I've never been prouder to be associated with an organization like the Marines or those men and women that I fought alongside as I was in Ramadi in 2006. It really was the worst of humanity and worst war has to offer. And, you know, we did it all as well in this city that was completely rubbled through over a decade of fighting amongst the people that lived there. This city of over 300,000 people that wanted security, wanted stability. And as the Marines fought and killed the enemy, they did it with lethality, but they also did it with honor. And they did it at the same time by protecting the local Iraqi citizens that wanted security and wanted stability. but had become so desensitized to this violence. There were times when we would be engaging the enemy in direct firefights where we'd see civilians standing on the street, Melanie, like it was some spectator sport. It was a very surreal experience to witness that, and hard to digest the fact that this was a common occurrence to them because they'd been immersed in this fighting for over a decade in this long war in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places. But to be able to tell this story in Echo and Ramadi and share the experiences of the Marines and the families that supported us is really my honor to talk about the people and the emotion and the feeling, because it's not a battlefield chronology of events. It's certainly about the fighting and the friction, but there's so many lessons in this book about the people and leadership and team building and overcoming adversity, and really the core message of the power of human connection that sustained us while we fought and still does to this day.
I mean, I would imagine that that's a unity like no other. Your lives are on the line, and you are reliant on each other the entire time, in the most real and serious way.
Well, absolutely. And what came through after writing the book was going back through the characters that I wrote about and the over 75 interviews I did with Marines, soldiers, and families, is how young they were. It really popped out to me is I had the predominance of my unit was 18, 19 years old, and then it was bolstered by some seasoned veterans from the first Battle of Ramadi in 2004. And when I say seasoned, I'm talking about 22-year-old sergeants and corporals. And these young men making these life and death decisions, these split-second decisions under complete chaos, surrounded by complete uncertainty, they really made the difference. And when we were in that city as part of the surge strategy, their leadership and their aggressiveness really is what turned the tide of the war and turned that battle for us to win. And I make no mistake about it. If people ask, did you win or lose? Absolutely we won. If it was a matter of a metric of success of killing bad guys, absolutely the Marines and the Army that we fought with under first grade combat team were lighting up the scoreboard. But I always say too that my real metric of success, if it was winning, was bringing as many Marines home alive with me as possible, and we did. And although we lost and suffered, there were plenty of other units that suffered more and fought as hard, if not harder, than we did. So I never say that it was just one company. We were surrounded by talent on every side.
That's what I was going to ask you, is what does winning look like? And you definitely answered the question. And one thing that I noticed when you were talking is that you said that you were over there protecting people. I think that there are some anti-military people who don't understand what it is that you're doing over there, specifically, like that you're just over there, killing for money, killing for oil, killing for, all of these other reasons other than protecting people. And I don't believe that to be the case.
It's absolutely not the case. I mean, Marines fight because they're trained to fight and they follow orders. And those are some of the things they do well. But besides that, they take care of those who can't take care of themselves. And that's what we were doing in 2006. We weren't fighting politics, Melanie. We weren't fighting strategies or policies. We were fighting the enemy, and we were solely focused on that. And I don't care what side of the aisle you want to lean towards or stand on, is when we're out there doing our nation's bidding and our young men and women who are all volunteer force are called upon to do this, they do this because they want to take care of one another, and they believe in their country, they believe in each other, and they believe in the mission. And that's what our mission was to kill or capture anti-Iraqi forces. And at the end of the day, if you can't support that, I think you have to really question where your loyalty lies to your country. And that's notwithstanding or trying to take away or diminish any freedom of speech that people are entitled to their opinions. I absolutely support that. I absolutely love seeing a good protest. You know why? Show me a good protest, and I'll show you a great democracy in action. And that's why we fight. That's why I put the uniform on for 24 years. And that's why Marines are still doing it to this day. And our younger generation continues to carry that mantle of success and responsibility today, our younger generation, these millennials that constantly get thrown under the bus about being snowflakes and melting away in the sun. Who do you think is fighting in Iraq now, or Afghanistan, or the Horn of Africa? It's our millennials, and they've never made me prouder. So to any of the millennial listeners out there, I'm a fan. I'd follow you on Facebook or Twitter if there's a millennial page. I just think that it's our responsibility as the older generation, as a Gen X or myself, or I don't care what generation you fall into, you have to teach this younger generation what's important and share with them the lessons you learned, your failures, your successes, all of those slippery points in life. That's what leadership is all about. And that's what we have a responsibility to do to those that are following in our footsteps.
That is so very true. Now, I will say that I have not been kind to millennials, but I never thought I teach high school as well as college. So I'm an adjunct professor, and I also teach high school students, and of course they're a bit younger than millennials at this point, but not so much the college students. But no, you bring about a good point that I had never thought of. That those are the very
maybe I'm trying to convert you a little bit, but these generations, and I think what is it? Gen Z is next on the list. And if you're 14 or below, listen to the show, and you're a Gen Zer, like wow, you're way ahead of the power curve. But I think that again, I think we just have to have a responsibility to understand that this country doesn't breed generations. We breed greatness, and every generation has something that they brought to the table, and I want to have faith and confidence and support these millennials or whatever generation comes up, because they really are the future. They're our success in days to come, and if we can't support them, I'm tired of the adage that I walked uphill both ways in the snow to go to school, and we always had it tougher. It doesn't carry water with me anymore, because we have a responsibility as leaders to teach. And you, as a practitioner of teaching, I think can understand that better than most, especially to whom you teach. You're
going to now have to be nicer to my students? Is this what you're saying? Now have to be...
I hope they're all listening, because now you're going to get a bunch of apples on your desk.
That'll be... Yeah. I better get a taste tester if I get food from my students. I better get somebody. I'm kidding. I'm a nice teacher, I think, for the most, when I'm not being evil. But no, but you know what? I'm glad that you said that, because you're absolutely right. They are in that same group. As someone in education, you just don't hear a lot of very pro-military speech. They hear it from me. But you don't hear that a lot in an education setting. And I would be surprised if kids are even encouraged to go into the military, which they should be.
Well, I think that they absolutely are, and our current military is a great example of that. Again, these young men and women that serve in our volunteer force today in America, they're the ones doing it, and I'm so proud to be connected through them, not only through my writing and public speaking, but as the president of the second battalion back with our active duty service members, and they're remarkable people. There's no other way to explain it.
They are indeed. Now, I said to, I don't know if I mentioned this to, actually to the audience earlier or not. If you're wondering why in the world am I talking to this person, and it's a show about finance and money. And as you guys know, we talk about public policy as it relates to money as well. And I just posted in the Facey chat that our military budget, the proposed budget for 2018 is $700 billion. So, and I thought it important to talk to Scott about, where that taxpayer money is going. And I did post in the Facey Chat an article that he wrote about Iraq in particular. But from a broader perspective, why is it important for us to have a strong, well-financed military, in your opinion?
Yeah, and I think there's so many ties to what we're talking about, fighting and finance and putting in the work, whether it's, how we spend our tax dollars to support the military so we can enjoy all of the things that we do in this country, listening to podcasts or recording them or being artists or writers, we don't enjoy those things without the protection of the military. And I'm not talking about full-scale conflict or anything that falls within that spectrum. Having that forward presence is a regional stability in any theater, whether it's the Pacific theater or the Middle East or AFRICOM. All of these places, we are the ones that have a responsibility to show certain countries what right looks like. And when we project that power militarily through bilateral training or through joint operations and training, we're really showing them what right looks like. And it's never a matter of us trying to impose our 250 plus years existence on a culture that's been around for 5,000 years as it is in the Middle East. But again, showing them what right looks like is important. And I think that when we get behind that, not only from a military standpoint, but also from our industrial leaders that can go over and put some skin in the game and say, look, this is the way you can do it. And by doing it this way, you're going to make money and you're going to increase trade and you're going to increase prosperity within your country. I think that's what it's all about.
Indeed. And I think that's what your article really touches on as far as what are we doing in Iraq, which is a very hot topic that's going on now. We're up against a break, so I don't want to dig into Iraq specifically until we come back from the break. We have 3 minutes to the break, and I don't think we're going to be able to cover it in three minutes. But before we go to the break, I want to talk about the what's going on in the Facey chat, which a couple of the guys said it's interesting, two conflicting comments actually. Somebody said it was new equipment overruns was kind of the cause for the budget, and another person said a lot of old equipment, which is a lot of what I've heard, like equipment that needs to be updated and things like that. In your opinion, were you guys sufficiently equipped for the job that you needed to do? Did you what do you think?
Yes, at the tactical level, the Marines and soldiers had the best equipment, weaponry, optics, and gear that we could have. I think at the operational and strategic level, our shipping, our aviation component, they absolutely need more work. And you kind of put it into a perspective of what's more expensive, buying a new car that is reliable and you don't have to dump money into on maintenance, or constantly taking the same car in for the same problems and paying a mechanic that hourly rate. That's essentially what's happening with our dilapidated larger amphibious shipping, our carrier strike group, our airplanes. If we don't modernize and spend the money now, we're going to continue to bleed that out financially as taxpayers over the next decade or 2 decades.
Yeah, and that is definitely a problem. And I think that President Trump listen, I'm not a big spender, obviously. You used to be able to say you're a Republican and therefore not a big spender. After this last budget, not so much. But I think he's got the right idea as far as spending it in the right places. Just like I had said to you before we got on the air, where else are you going to put your assets if not for the security of the country?
Well, people talk about those as being problems or whatever the problems are, but if we have the resources, you don't have a problem. You understand that from a financial perspective. If you're overweight, you have an extra $30 at the end of the month, you've got enough for a gym membership. If you allocate $15 to that local fitness center, hey, you can take care of the problem. And I think on a larger scale, obviously, our nation's military needs some of those funds divested to continue to sustain and re-equip those larger programmatics that really need attention in this day and age.
That is for sure. Now we are up against the break. When we come back, I want to talk about what's going on in Congress right now. We're in the midst of possibly getting a new Secretary of State, but that also has a tie-in with the article, and I'll post it again if there's some new people in the Facey chat. Also has to do with what we're going to do with Iraq, because of course President Trump wants to get out of Iraq. The person that he nominated for, or not out of Iraq, but out of the deal that we have with Iraq, let me be more specific. Out of the deal that we've made with them, President Trump does as well. And I think that's where much of the pushback is coming with not confirming Pompeo, which I think they'll eventually will. But So I'd like to talk to you about that and what that's about and what we should be doing there, whether or not we should be spending money there. You have very strong opinions on that, and I'd love to talk to you about it on the other side of the break. Okay, great. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is Scott Huesing. He is let me make sure. I want to somehow say that you're an ex-Marine. Is it simple? Can I just say it like that? But I feel like I'm not saying enough. An ex-Marine, but best-selling author as well, and founder and CEO of Echo Group Consulting. He is the author of the book Echo and Ramadi, which you can get. I'm sure I will give him an opportunity to tell you guys everywhere you can get the book, but definitely on Amazon in like 4 different formats: Kindle, MP3, hardcover, audiobook. Pretty cool. You can pick up Echo and Ramadi. I will be back in a couple of minutes.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Welcome to this week's Money Talk Minute with your business diva, Melanie Collette. This week, we talk 3 things you should stop buying today. The first thing is cable TV. There are many options to replace cable TV, including Hulu, Netflix, and even Amazon Prime. The second thing is music. Please stop purchasing CDs. Again, there are several more cost-effective ways to listen to your favorite tunes for free or almost free, such as YouTube or Amazon Prime. And then finally, impulse buys. These are probably the worst. If it's not planned, don't buy it. This may require you to leave the credit cards at home or only shop with a predetermined amount of cash, but you can do it. That's all for this week's Money Talk Minute. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. West on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, and streaming live on Facebook.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. So one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? You ever want to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. On your 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelins Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern. Only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deception bring the world fake green media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Miller. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network. That's Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. A different perspective weekly on the Ever-Present Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EVL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's nurturing.fandom, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday night. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we have the pleasure of speaking with former Marine best-selling author, founder and CEO of Echo Group Consulting, Scott A. Huesing. Welcome back to the show. I'm trying to do better. My brain is not working well today. I don't know what the problem is exactly. Not enough coffee early enough. Not sure what the deal is. But I was laughing at the people in the Facey chat. So I was like, I said, what? They're like former Marine. I'm like, right, there it is. English is my first language. It's yeah. I apologize. Usually better than this, I swear. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about what is going on with the Iraqi deal. Let's start with the article. You wrote an article called "Stop Throwing Good U.S. Money After Bad in Iraq," and of course, this was written back in February when we had Tillerson as our Secretary of State, and of course, we are in the midst of getting a new Secretary of State, hopefully, with Secretary Pompeo. But you had some very strong feelings in the article about what was proposed that we do in Iraq and how much money was being spent. Do you care to elaborate on that?
The article itself was in response to the fact that we sent the former Secretary of State over there, and the country of Iraq was asking for $80 billion. That's with a B to your listeners. $80 billion to rebuild their country, of which $3 billion was, which I think Secretary of State Tillerson was going to pony up. So, in essence, I take exception to that because I think having spent multiple deployments in the country of Iraq, I think I still get some mail from that country being forwarded to my house in California. But we've spent enough money in that country. We've certainly shed enough blood. We've spent enough time, and to just start writing checks to one of the most oil-rich nations on the face of the planet seems grossly irresponsible. Not only from us, but from anyone that is willing to break out their checkbooks and give them money, because at the end of the day, they don't have the stability, they don't have the security, they don't have the political people in place to manage it, they don't have the infrastructure, and they just don't have a good track record of being good stewards with money we give them. And I think this is illuminated by an email and some messages I got from two of my Iraqi interpreters who served with me in Ramadi in 2006, which I write about in Echo Ramadi. And they're two of my greatest, I'm also proud now to call fellow Americans.
Excellent.
And one of them is now a senior level Department of Defense interpreter who just got back. So I'm asking him all these questions. Hey, how'd it go over there? Another one of my interps went over to visit his family for the first time in 11 years. And I said, what's it like? How is it going? Because I wanted to go back and kind of do a battlefield study and walk the ground and honor our brothers, but ISIS got a vote. So the response to me was, hey, things are better. And I asked him one simple question. I said, so do they have cell phones? Do they still have ATMs? And he's like, no, they don't have ATMs yet. And I'm thinking to myself, they're still driving truckloads of money around the country from bank to bank. So they don't even have the technology to establish ATMs. Things that you and I, Melanie, and most Americans take for granted. Gas stations and ATMs and fast food, fast cash, fast democracy. These things are not happening in Iraq at the rate at which they should. So when we have our senior level White House cabinet members over there writing checks for $3 billion, I do have a problem with that, because I never sit around with my Marine brothers and pine or lament over the fellow Marines we lost or the blood we shed or the sacrifice we made, because none of us needed a crystal ball to forecast what was going to happen in that region if we didn't establish a presence like we did in the Pacific theater after World War II, or in the European theater, or in Korea. We weren't good students of our history and haven't been in that region. So until we figure that out, until we figure out how to go and show them what right looks like, we're going to continue to repeat those mistakes. We're going to continue to find ourselves back in that region. And with our new Secretary of State, with Mike Pompeo, hopefully taking the helm very soon, and from all reports on mainstream media, he's already making decisions. He's already snapping into that job. I couldn't have been happier to see a West Point grad and fellow vet, again, the right guy for the right job for the right reason. And I think that President Trump is surrounding himself with these great military leaders because these people know what service means. They know what the word sacrifice means at many levels. And now at the senior level, I think we're going to find ourselves in a good position to start making better decisions.
I'm so glad you said that. You know what came to my mind while you were speaking is I find it odd that people think that, having more military people around means that you'll be a warmonger. I think it means the opposite, that you will probably, because you've been there, you're less likely to send somebody else there unless it's absolutely necessary.
I concur 100%. And anyone listening to the show may think, well, obviously this guy's biased. He spent 24 years in the Marine Corps and he's seen more than his share of war. I would never want my daughter to have to go and experience and see the things that I had to do. And I think that those in the senior level White House cabinet positions, they feel the same way. Even people who have seen the worst of it, like General Mattis and General Kelly and Zinke, Dunford, all of these great military leaders, they wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I think that they're doing the things that they do and making the right sound decisions based on the best interests of the country. And that's what leadership is. And I think they're really giving an education to the rest of the cabinet, the rest of Congress about what leadership is, not being so entrenched. Because there's one thing in the Marines especially, they move you around constantly, so you have to be exposed to different culture. You have to be exposed to different situations and make different decisions based off the best information possible, instead of being entrenched in one job where you only know one thing your entire career, which I think is the case for a lot of sitting congressmen and representatives in D.C.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I had a question in the Facey chat. Someone asked, in your opinion, why do you think it seems like not much has changed as far as what you were saying with the economy in Iraq and the infrastructure and all of that? We seem to be in the same place. And the question in the chat was like, to what do you attribute that to?
Well, I love getting questions from your audience first of all. So thanks for everybody who's sending in questions. Thanks to anyone listening in Jersey. I think I answered the question to a degree, is that we need to really show the Iraqis what right looks like. They've been doing the same thing for 5,000 plus years in their culture. And I wrote an article as well as I left back in 2007, where I kind of presupposed the fact that these industrial giants like Walmart, force of democracy, and really show the people that having some Western culture within their own is not necessarily a bad thing. And until we really show them what right looks like and understand that there is more to prosperity and democracy than what is portrayed on mainstream media, that's when we're really going to see a shift in how they're conducting business at their government level, at the level of the military, which is advancing at a slower rate than we wanted to establish security. Because without security, they can't have the rest of it. And I think that's important to understand, is that's why it's taking a decade. But let's use an example that I already gave. In the Pacific theater after World War II, after our campaigns in Europe, sometimes it takes 40 years or 50 years for that really to take seed. Once we blow, again, our American nature and American hubris sometimes gets the best of us. We want everything to happen so quickly, but we don't have the follow-up to show them what right looks like.
Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. And you mentioned that in the article too, about how, we talk about how we want to build that country up, et cetera, but we're not really willing to go over there and be there and do the building. Like our companies, our corporations are not really willing to do that.
No, I mean, most Americans can't understand, what it would be like most get impatient when they have to wait at their local gas station for fuel for, 5 minutes before the guy in front of them pulls out. Just incensed. I see it every time I go get gas. And then they can go inside and they can buy anything from soda to cigarettes to 3D goggles for their iPhone. I mean, it's just a totally different culture when you understand, even in the most war-rich nation like Iraq, these people are still waiting in line for gas for an hour at a time. And I don't think Americans really understand what it takes to make a change like that. And without the security in that country, and without industrial leaders going over there and saying, hey, we're going to put some skin in the game. We're going to build a factory. And from that factory is going to create jobs. It's going to produce more infrastructure to support those jobs. It's going to improve their economy. And until that region embraces that type of Western thinking from an industrial and economic standpoint, they're going to continue to repeat the same mistakes. And we're going to continue to go over there and have to provide security for them if they don't do it on their own.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, we are coming upon the last minute of the show. Please tell my audience where they can find your book, where they can hit you up if they want you to speak somewhere, where they can follow you on social media. Go.
Well, thank you. Thanks again to SHR and your show for having me on, because without programs like yours, great stories like Echo and Ramadi, don't get sidelined on mainstream media. And they can find the book on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, Costco. To see some pictures of me in the Marines, you can visit my website and get the book at Echo and Ramadi. Twitter at Echo and Ramadi, Instagram at Echo and Ramadi. And it's important to know that as the executive director of SaveTheBrave.org, that helps veterans of post-traumatic stress, a portion of the proceeds of the sale of Echo and Ramadi go to help veterans of post-traumatic stress. So you're not just getting a great story about people and this power of human connection, excitement of what we experience, but you're also helping veterans. And that's an important and vital message to me, because at the beginning and the end of every day, that's what makes me happy is being able to share the story and to help our nation veterans who have sacrificed so much for us.
Excellent. I love it. I'm posting SaveTheBrave.org in the Facey chat, so you guys can check it out. Thank you so much, Scott Huesing, for being on my show today and putting up with me.
I love it. I'll be back anytime you'll have me, and we can talk about writing and that experience and money and entrepreneurship and our veterans. Anything you want to talk about, it's absolutely my pleasure. Hope I run into you in DC, and thanks again to all your listeners out there. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you. You've been listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest was Scott Huesing. Fantastic job he did today. So excited. I want to thank everybody in the Facey chat. Great questions that you asked. Great comments. Everybody out there in SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio Land, all of you who are downloading the podcast, thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, all of this is important because it's your money. Have a great night.